And welcome to another edition of The End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. It is November. The college football playoff rankings are out. We are about a month away from conference championship games. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, Cameron, as far as college football goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an entertaining season already, but just when November hits, something about the level of competition, the stakes being so much higher.
That's right.
It's just a really, really fun time of year. Like I said last week, stressful if you're fans of those teams, but really fun just from a neutral viewer standpoint.
The temperature drops. It starts getting dark earlier, as we were talking about off the air before we started. Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and it just feels like every game becomes bigger, right? The stakes get bigger, and there's so much, it feels like, live and die with every snap of the football throughout the month of November. Oklahoma goes into a bye week, and they get through Tennessee. Alabama is ahead. We got to talk about this football team because I don't know how many people thought they were going to go on the road and win. I will say that environment was incredible, and there were times that I thought there's no way Oklahoma's going to get this done.
Yeah.
I thought the sound really was impactful on the Oklahoma offense and some of their struggles, but they're ahead at halftime somehow, and then next thing you know, they pull it out, and they get the big upset win over Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it was huge the way they ended the game, obviously because it gets you the win, but I think more importantly, it gives you the momentum you need going into the bye week. You started to see John Mateer look a little more confident, which is a lot of people have said that's been a problem here recently. And so for them to go in with that kind of momentum, that swagger, get the road win in a tough environment like you mentioned, and then get a bye week before going to another tough road environment, I think was really crucial.
Yeah, I wonder, I would like to ask them this, but Rocky Top has been stuck in my head for a week. I can't get it out. It's like a brain worm, so I wonder if the OU players are hearing that play on loop in their head. But it's probably like the opponent coming to Norman and hearing Boomer Sooner over and over.
Yep.
It just gets stuck in your head. That's how I've been with Rocky Top for the last week. But we will turn the page on Tennessee. As far as the offensive production, you know, we talked a lot about John Mateer last week, his offensive struggles since returning from the surgery. The passing game still leaves a lot to be desired, and we can get into that in a moment. But what we haven't seen from John Mateer since he came back was the rushing element, right? They've been very cautious, I think, with him running the football. That was unlocked in Knoxville, and I thought a big part of the Oklahoma offense getting going.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we saw earlier in the year where for a while he was the leading rusher, and I mean, it worked at the time, so you can't knock it too much. But yeah, I think it all goes back to the confidence to be able to escape plays when the pocket collapses and make something out of nothing. I think is a huge booster for both him and the offense, and I think hopefully that's something you can build on once you get the passing back in there. Maybe they'll start to look like that team that we saw earlier in the year with the improvements they've made as well.
Well, and one of those improvements is the running back position. Xavier Robinson has been fantastic the last 2 weeks. Now, we're only a week away from, I think, the coaching staff raving about Torrey Blaylock as clearly the best running back in that room and consistent and doing all the work. And then 2 weeks in a row, it's been Xavier Robinson going over 100 yards. Physical running back that seems to be a really good fit, I think, against these SEC defenses.
Yeah, and I think it's the depth is what's most impressive about that room, and I think it helps your game plan too, because you know you've got a team that's like, oh, Torrey Blaylock, that's the guy we got to focus on containing. Well, then all of a sudden he goes out, in comes Xavier Robinson, and it's just like one thing after another, a revolving door of capable running backs, and it's just been really fun to watch him burst onto the scene and do some damage.
I think as far as the passing game goes, John Mateer, to me, I do think he's a confident guy. Don't mistake my comments here for saying that he's not confident, but I think he's just understanding that he has a really good defense and he doesn't have to maybe take the risks throwing the football that maybe he thought he did early in the season. So I think that's probably one of the obstacles the offense is trying to overcome as far as the passing game, is just him getting to a place where he knows when to pick his spots on gambling with a throw or, you know, just holding onto the football and letting your defense potentially win you football games. Speaking of that defense, for the first time this season, Tennessee was held under 30 points. This Oklahoma defense ultimately, I thought, had some ups and downs throughout the game, but I mean, you hold a team under 30 points, that's one of the top scoring offenses in the country, and you finally get some turnovers.
Yeah, it was such an interesting stat to look at, though. That first half, you get 3 turnovers, and then still Tennessee is putting up over 250 yards of offense. So it's like, what really is happening here? But I think that's more of a testament to how tough those SEC battles can be. But yeah, it was really good to see like I said, earlier in the season, their problem was they didn't get turnovers. Now that's a major improvement. They've had, I don't know how many in the last few games, but it does a lot to improve their already high confidence, and I think it's huge, as you mentioned, for the offense as well.
Yeah, 5 turnovers, by the way, in the last 2 road games for the Sooners, 2 against South Carolina. Now, one of those was special teams. I mean, we can probably debate that, but 3 against Tennessee. Obviously, they don't win that football game, I think, without generating those 3 turnovers, and, obviously the R. Mason Thomas scoop and score came at a price, because R. Mason Thomas got hurt on the play, but they were still able to generate pressure on Joey Aguiar throughout that football game. So the defense continues to do good things, and we'll see what happens at Alabama in a couple weeks. The first college football playoff ranking is out, and the Oklahoma Sooners debut at number 12. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that means they're in the college football playoff. That's not the case, because you have to have 5 conference champions, and when you look at this current projection of the college football playoff bracket, Texas was 11, Oklahoma was 12. Those 2 teams would be left out because Virginia, who is not in the top 12, currently is the favorite in the ACC. And then Memphis, there wasn't a G5 team ranked by the committee, so I just put Memphis in there as like a placeholder, but this is what it would look like if the playoff began today. Clearly, Oklahoma having Alabama, Missouri, and LSU on the schedule. I think if they win out, there's like a 99% chance they're in. There is maybe a perfect storm that they could still be left out, but I mean, some really crazy things would have to happen. If they win out, essentially, I think they're in. But this would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I know some people had their initial reaction and seeing OU left out, they maybe viewed it as a snub. I think just at this point in the year, I'm not worried about it because there are so many crucial SEC games that have still not been played, and then several of these teams end up playing each other this weekend, so already you're looking at some changes there. I think, like you mentioned, though, OU is in full control of its playoff destiny, so to speak, right now.
That's
and
right.
We'll see if they can get it done.
Well, and, I mean, Texas Tech, the 8 seed, plays BYU, the 7 seed, this weekend. The loser of that's probably not going to be in the projection next week. Could work their way back in ultimately, but, I mean, this thing's going to change from week to week, so don't get too high or too low on what the rankings are. But just like you, I love to get upset and happy about what the committee does or doesn't do. So that's the great part about being a sports fan. All right, along with Cameron Johnson, I am Colby Daniels. We welcome former Oklahoma State Ironman Donovan Woods to the program next. Welcome back to the End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I'm Colby Daniels. We are welcomed by former Oklahoma State quarterback, safety, and linebacker Donovan Woods, the Oklahoma State Ironman. I haven't seen you in about 10 years, man. How are you?
Great, man. Been too long. Thanks for having me today.
Definitely been too long. Glad to have you on. Obviously, I wish you were here under better circumstances as far as Oklahoma State football goes, but we'll get into that in a minute. First, I got to remind people who may have forgotten, the Oklahoma State Ironman played on both sides of the football, started your career at quarterback, moved to the defensive side of the football. So I pulled up some stats. I don't know how many people in the history of college football have thrown for over 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns, rushed for nearly 500 yards, 11 touchdowns, but also have 175 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 interceptions, and a fumble return for a touchdown. You did everything.
Yeah, man, looking at that, it's I can tell people I'm a has-been, not a never was. So that's good, man. As I look back on my career, especially now, I turned 40 this year, and watching kids that I coached and played against, and just it's been a whirlwind, and football has given a lot to me and given a lot to my family, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, it's good to have you here. Let's talk about this Oklahoma State program. Obviously, things are not going well. That's kind of obvious, but I don't know if anybody expected them to go this crazy this season. Mike Gundy is out. You knew once that happened, it probably wasn't going to become much better this season, but I mean, how do you view the program and the direction?
Well, I think obviously we're going through about a transition. Coach Gundy, he was a pillar of Oklahoma State football from the time he was a player to the time that he coached. He did a lot of great things in implementing and helping us become what we were on the national stage. And when you take that away, you have to deal with some issues, and we're dealing with those. But we got great leadership, President Hess, Chad Weiberg as the AD, and we got faith in those guys to bring us back to the promised land. And so We're out in a desert place right now, but it won't be like that always. My dad would say it came to pass, and so we
There you
believe
go.
that. And as soon as we figure some things out, get back on the right track, we'll be right where we need to be, and that's on the national stage.
I think we were talking about this off air as well, just the difference of if this happens any other year versus a coaching search in a year where it is just a
Penn State, LSU, Florida,
What
Auburn.
is it
yeah.
now, like 11
Yeah.
Division I
Insane.
coaches? It's just interesting the challenges that go into finding a new head coach in that kind of situation.
Yeah, and there's some great jobs out there. You mentioned Penn State, LSU, and a number of others. I think OSU is right there on the cusp with those jobs. I mean, if you think back probably 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, maybe you don't see OSU in that light, but with the investment that we've made in the program and the institution, I think OSU is a job that's right up there, and it'll be very attractive, and we should be able to bring in the type of coach that we expect, because we expect to win.
Now, when you played at Oklahoma State, obviously you were part of the build, right? I mean, it started going up when you were there, and a few years later, like they're in the Fiesta Bowl, right,
Yeah.
winning the Big 12 championship. What do you feel like were the core essential things that really helped you guys start to begin that elevation of the program?
It's just Coach Gundy had a vision. He had a number of people that helped him. Obviously, Boone Pickens helps a ton. The kind of leadership that we had there at the time throughout the coaching staff. You talk about Larry Fedora. You talk about some of the players that we had. All of those things have a big deal to be involved that make it. And then you gotta put it all together, and you got to ultimately win. And Coach Gundy was able to do that. We were able to do that. And when you do that consistently enough, I mean, you have a chance to build something, and it built into, what we have here, and looking at Oklahoma State prior to, the recent memory. And so it was some good times. We expect to get back to those times. And, it's just a testament to a lot of people investing in OSU and, us reaping the rewards from it.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to whoever the next coach is. I mean, that'll be fun. And starting a new era, it's always full of hope.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Until it isn't. But you know what? Until that point, everybody's hopeful about, this next era of Oklahoma State football possibly reaching the next level. All right, Donovan Woods is our guest. We're going to get to moving the chains in a moment. But it's November. It's officially MACtion season, which takes us to MAC correspondent Adam King with 10 seconds of MAC football.
A happy MACtion week. We had 4 games already this week: Akron, Ball State, Toledo, and Ohio U's and Parker Navarro's magical run continues, now tied at the top of the leaderboard as those standings.
And that was 10 seconds of MAC football here on The End Zone. Moving the chains coming up next. All right, welcome back to The End Zone. It is time for Moving the Chains. Donovan Woods is our guest, former Oklahoma State quarterback and linebacker. So you've been on both sides of the chains moving.
Seen it all.
You're going to start with 1st and 10. I'm going to throw you a question. Depending on how well or how terribly you answer it, Cameron's going to either give you positive or negative yards, and you've got to pick up the first down. All right, 1st and 10 for Donovan Woods. We just had Halloween last week. I'm sure that you either handed out candy or had some candy end up at your house. So best and worst Halloween candy, what do you got?
Worst Halloween candy, Tootsie Rolls. Best Halloween candy, anything gummy.
Okay.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
It's acceptable. I'm more of a chocolate person
Okay.
on Halloween than I am gummies. Now Skittles, that I'll take. But you can never go wrong with either. I mean, candy's candy to me. So I'll give you a pickup of 3, just to.
The 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
3 yards on first down.
Yeah.
By the way, gummy bears or gummy worms if you had to pick?
Gummy worms.
Okay, I like that. All right, 2nd and 7? Is that where we're
Yeah.
at? 2nd and 7.
Yep.
All right. What celebrity would you pick to coach Oklahoma State football next season if you had to pick a celebrity?
Denzel Washington. Remember the Titans, man.
Okay, I like
Look,
it.
that's a home run right there.
Coach
man.
Herman Boone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had confidence in that answer too. I'm gonna give you 5 on that one.
I mean, that was there was no hesitation.
No,
he saw the play unfold
Yeah.
and threw the football. I like it. All right, Denzel. So what are we at? 3rd and 2? 3rd and 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tough defense.
I don't know if you
man.
guys heard about this earlier this week, but Tom Brady apparently cloned his dog. Did you hear this story?
I did hear the story.
Okay, kind of crazy. You played for a couple of out there head coaches, and Les Miles and Mike Gundy. So I will ask you, Les Miles or Mike Gundy most likely to clone their dog?
Les Miles, and he do it talking like this. You're gonna get after him, Les Miles.
Yeah.
Let's clone Sparky.
Let's clone him.
That's the right answer there. I'm going to give you the first down.
All right, he already got
like
the first down. That was quick work. All right. So now it's just bonus time. You can possibly pick up another first down,
Okay.
a touchdown.
Touchdowns,
There's
man.
always time to commit a turnover, though,
Yeah.
so you can't completely give up. Okay, this is a hypothetical situation. Your brothers have to sing karaoke on national TV. Okay? You get to pick a song for Rashawn and a song for DeJuan to sing. So it can be something
man.
like you can throw them a softball or you can completely embarrass them. What songs are you picking for your brothers to sing
Oh, man.
karaoke on national TV?
You know what? We did a. No, I'm not gonna go with that one. Probably Ain't No Mountain High Enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
For both, or
for
you
both
gonna
of them.
you're not gonna separate
I'm
them?
not gonna separate. We're gonna put them together.
Okay.
We do
Little
everything
duet.
together. A little duet. We might have my sister or my mom go in on the female part
Okay.
and make it a family affair.
Okay, so you're a good brother then.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
gonna like make one of them sing like "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" or
No,
something
no,
like that. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I like the production in it. I think I see the vision. I think there's some potential to that. I typically like the embarrassing karaoke route though, so I'll give you 3 on that.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
in the drive on a 3-yard gain. By the way, Rashawn or DeJuan more likely to clone their dog?
DeJuan doesn't have a dog. Rashawn's got a little one that I don't know how much he really likes. So I'll say neither.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. All right, he picks up the first down. Donovan Woods, our guest this week on Moving the Chains. We've got game picks to wrap up the show next here on the End Zone.
Bag pick of the week.
All right, let's make some game picks. Big weekend of college football. No Oklahoma, no Oklahoma State, so the Sooners and Cowboys sit on the couch this weekend, back in action next weekend. But we do have a top 10 matchup in the Big 12. BYU in Lubbock facing Texas Tech. Cameron, what do you got?
I think we talked about it earlier. This is basically a must-win game for both teams to stay in that playoff race. I think Texas Tech being at home gives the Red Raiders the benefit in this one.
Yeah, you know what? I picked BYU against the Red Raiders this week. Part of it is, BYU has some close games, and I think that helps them winning down in Lubbock. So I'll go with the Cougars.
I'm going to go with BYU as well. I just think they keep it close. I think Tech wins the game, but if I get 9.5, I will take BYU in this matchup. All right, game number 2 of the weekend, Oregon at Iowa. Surprisingly, a top 25 matchup thanks to the committee ranking the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one because Oregon, you look at their wins now and a few weeks later, and they've only got 1 win over an opponent with a record of 500 or more. So I think it'll be close. I think ultimately the Ducks pull away late, but just barely cover.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. I played with a guy named Mike Humple there when I was with the Steelers, and they know how to play some defense at Iowa. Haven't figured out much on the offensive side of the ball, but
They're better this year, though.
They're better this year,
Yeah.
and they got a quarterback that runs around
Yeah.
a little bit. They can do some things, so I'm going with the Hawkeyes.
Oregon gets the cover late. Close game, though. All right, game number 3, we've got Texas A&M at Missouri.
I think this looks like a trap game to the naked eye, but I think that Mike Elko knows that this is an important game on the road this time of year. I expect the Aggies to get it done.
I'm with you. I think the Aggies get it done. That's a tough place to play down there in Columbia, but I still think they get it done.
I'm going to give the Aggies the kiss of death and make it 3 for 3. I'm picking Texas A&M minus the 6.5. All right, Auburn just fired Hugh Freeze. Will they have redemption at Vandy?
Well, I think there's 2 things of redemption going here because Vanderbilt is coming off that loss to Texas. I think that the Commodores take this one handily.
I think they will. I think it'll be hard fought, though. I think Auburn will be able to run the ball, but I don't think it'll be enough, so I'm picking Vandy.
Diego Pavia greater than Jackson Arnold. Give me Vandy as well. All right, finally, LSU at Alabama.
This contradicts my last answer. I think so many teams have done well after firing their head coach. I think the Tigers could surprise them. I think they cover. I think Alabama wins.
Yeah, I think Alabama, even though I'm picking against my family, actually Caden Durham is a close cousin
Good running
of mine.
back.
Great running back as well. But I'm going to go with Alabama because I don't know if he's healthy enough to play this week, and so we'll see.
I think LSU follows Penn State and nosedives. Give me Roll Tide minus 9.5. Donovan, thanks for the time. That is Cameron Johnson. I'm Colby Daniels. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week here on The End Zone.